8 steps to build the life you want, even when you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and insecure. This is a powerful topic, and I want you to stop for a moment and imagine, what if the next few minutes were the turning point of your life? What if you discovered that there's a practical, possible, and immediate path to break out of stagnation and finally start living the life you've always dreamed of? Because the truth is this: it's not extraordinary people who achieve extraordinary results. It's ordinary people who learn to train their minds, to act despite fear, and to rewrite their own limits. Maybe you've looked in the mirror before, feeling the weight of exhaustion, insecurity, or even comparison to someone who seems light years ahead. But what if I told you that the only difference between those people and you is that they started, that they dared to think, why not me? That kind of mindset changes everything. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 8 steps that work like a roadmap to transform overwhelm into clarity, insecurity into courage, and exhaustion into energy to move forward. Each step is simple but profoundly effective because it was designed to be put into practice today. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to decide that the life you want starts now. Before moving on, make sure you've hit the like button, but only do it if you're someone who loves personal development content. If that's you, write in the comments, "I will succeed in life." Number 1, adjust the limiter of your imagination. The first barrier between you and the life you want isn't external, it's inside your mind. Maybe you've looked at someone who achieved something extraordinary and thought, that's for special people, not for me. That's your internal limiter talking. That voice that insists on placing invisible rules on what's possible. But here's the truth: you're capable of much more than you think. The human brain has a fascinating trait called neuroplasticity, the ability to adapt, learn, and create new connections from every experience. This means that by challenging your own thoughts, you literally expand the possibilities of what you can experience. Start with a simple exercise. Take a goal you consider important. It could be changing careers, writing a book, achieving financial stability, or simply having more peace in your daily life. Now, zoom in 50x on that goal. Ask yourself, what if I dreamed bigger? What if it were 10 times more? What would my life look like if everything worked out? This exercise isn't fantasy, it's training. When you allow yourself to dream big, you create new mental images that work as internal maps for your actions. Ordinary people achieve extraordinary things because they've learned not to accept limits imposed by others or by themselves. When you change the question from "can I" to "how can I," your brain starts searching for solutions, opportunities, and connections that were previously invisible. This shift is simple, but it's the spark that turns an ordinary life into a path of impact. Number 2, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. There's a common mistake that sabotages many people, believing that life only begins when the big moment arrives, the perfect job, the unique opportunity, or the long-awaited recognition. But behavioral science shows that it's not the destination that shapes who you are. It's the small acts repeated daily. The way you make your bed, reply to an email, organize a drawer, or keep a seemingly unimportant promise is a direct reflection of the discipline and identity you're building. This principle is so powerful because it creates a ripple effect. Psychology studies show that our brain seeks consistency. When you act with excellence in something simple, you send an internal message that you're that kind of person. Responsible, committed, detail-oriented. And this doesn't stay in the small stuff. That perception expands, shaping how you face bigger challenges. So the question you need to ask yourself today is, what reputation are you silently building? How would you like people to describe you? Trustworthy, determined, creative, persistent? Write down 3 adjectives and use them as a compass. Every time you take on a task, no matter how small, act according to those adjectives. This way, you turn routine actions into a declaration of identity. The secret isn't to wait for the big break to show up. It's to become the person who already deserves that opportunity. When you give 150% even in tasks that seem invisible, you build the foundation that makes being seen, recognized, and invited to bigger opportunities inevitable. This is where the shift happens. You stop merely dreaming of the life you want and start tasting it in every detail. Number 3, Make where you are now important. It's easy to believe your life will only change when you finally leave your current job, when you have more money, or when you reach a higher position. But the reality is that what you do where you are now determines what you'll achieve in the future. Psychologists call this meaning transfer. The way you approach one activity directly influences how your brain approaches all others. Think about it. If you treat your current job as unimportant, the message you're sending your brain is one of devaluation. But if you treat each task as an opportunity to develop focus, discipline, and reputation, you're training your nervous system to operate at high performance. That's applied neuroscience. The way you behave in small contexts shapes how you act in big ones. Want a simple practice? Take a sheet of paper and write down 3 qualities you'd like people to associate with you. For example, reliable, creative, organized. Now, every task in your day, even the most mundane, must be done as if it's a chance to prove those 3 qualities. If it's answering messages, reply with clarity. If it's organizing something, do it with care. If it's attending a meeting, bring presence and energy. That's what builds reputation and opens doors. When you turn just another job into a stage for excellence, you train your mind to act consistently. That not only changes how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. And that self-perception is the key to unlocking new opportunities, because you're already living as the future version you want to become. Number 4, persist more than the average. Here's a hard and liberating truth. Most people give up too soon. At the first obstacle, they back off. At the second failure, they stop. But those who build the life they want learn to see failure not as the end, but as an inevitable part of the process. Neuroscience shows that when you face challenges, the brain releases dopamine not only when the result is achieved, but also when it recognizes continued effort. In other words, persistence itself rewires your brain to seek progress. Think about the great achievements in your life so far. How many came all at once? Probably none. They were attempts, adjustments, failures, lessons. That's called active resilience, the ability to change the approach without changing the goal. If one strategy doesn't work, you don't quit. You adapt. It's not about stubbornness, but strategic flexibility. Try this exercise. Choose a current dream and write down 3 possible alternatives to reach it. If path A fails, paths B and C are ready. This creates psychological safety because you know you're not dependent on a single chance. Just visualizing different routes keeps your motivation alive. The life you want won't be built in a straight line. There will be highs, lows, plateaus. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is the willingness to get up more times than they fall. Persistence isn't ignoring obstacles, it's learning from them. Those who refuse to stop, even when everything feels stagnant, inevitably find the path to the next level. Number 5, redefine the meaning of failure. One of the biggest blocks keeping people stuck is the fear of looking ridiculous, being judged, or failing publicly. But let's be direct. Real failure is not falling. It's never trying. Psychology calls this the loss aversion bias. Our brain feels the pain of loss as twice as intense as the pleasure of gain. That's why we often avoid taking risks, even when there's a real chance of success. Now imagine if you started seeing every attempt not as a failure, but as training. Every time you try, you collect data. You find out what works and what doesn't. You adjust, get stronger, and grow. This is literally how high-performance athletes, scientists, and even entrepreneurs achieve extraordinary results. They fall forward. A powerful practice is to write down on paper, what's the worst that could happen if I try? Put every fear into words. Then ask yourself, if that really happened, would I survive? Could I bounce back? In most cases, the worst-case scenario isn't nearly as devastating as your brain imagines, and just seeing it clearly already reduces anxiety. Another essential question, what do I lose if I don't try? Because that's the silent consequence we rarely calculate. You may avoid the embarrassment of failure, but you pay the price of never living the life you truly want. So, the choice is simple. Accept the temporary discomfort of learning through mistakes or carry the permanent weight of regret. And if people are going to judge you either way, whether you play small or play big, it's better to be judged for daring. Number 6, Share your journey. Don't suffer in silence. Many times, out of fear of judgment or believing that being strong means facing everything alone, you shut down. But science shows that isolation amplifies stress. When you share your struggles with trusted people, it activates brain areas linked to connection and emotional resilience, reducing anxiety and increasing clarity to take action. There's a common trap, thinking that sharing your difficulties is a burden to others. But actually, it's the opposite. People who care about you want to be there for you, and when you let them in, it strengthens your bonds even more. Studies in positive psychology show that conscious vulnerability, choosing to open up at the right moment to the right people, is a catalyst for growth and authenticity. This doesn't mean exposing everything to everyone. It means stopping the habit of carrying a weight alone that could be shared. If you're dealing with insecurity, overwhelm, or fear, choose a friend, mentor, or someone who's already walked the path you want to take and say, "I need support." That one phrase alone dissolves a good part of the internal tension. And here's the key point. Sharing isn't just about receiving support, it's also about inspiring others. When you share your struggles, you show others they're not alone. This creates a cycle of collective encouragement. The life you want isn't built in isolation. It flourishes when you make space to be fully seen, with your flaws, your efforts, and your real progress. Number 7, give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. Many people get stuck in a fixed identity. "I've always been like this. It's too late now. I don't know how to do anything else." But the science of the mind is clear. The brain is plastic, capable of learning, adapting, and transforming at any stage of life. That means it's never too late to reinvent yourself, change direction, and create a new chapter. Reinvention doesn't mean abandoning everything overnight. It's about adjusting your course, making room for new possibilities, and allowing yourself to explore new versions of yourself. Think about the cycles in your life so far. How many times have you surprised yourself by overcoming something you thought was impossible? That's proof you can create new versions of yourself whenever you choose. A practical exercise. Sit down with pen and paper and make 2 lists. On the first, write what currently drains your energy. On the second, write what fills you with energy. That clarity is a map for your reinvention. Start gradually eliminating the energy drainers and moving closer to the sources of vitality. Little by little, you'll notice you're shaping a life that aligns much more with your current values and desires. And remember, reinventing yourself doesn't have to make sense to others. It's an internal decision, a commitment to your own evolution. If at one point you're a professional in one field, at another you can be an entrepreneur, a present mother, a creator, a student of something new, none of that invalidates what came before. Reinvention is freedom. The life you want isn't linear. It's made of chapters that you get to write. Number 8, dream bigger and ask, why not me? This is the final step, because this is where you turn your vision into practical courage. Many times, when you see someone achieving something extraordinary, your automatic reaction is, that's not for me. But what separates that person from you isn't innate talent, luck, or fate. It's simply the fact that they started. The question, why not me, works as a mental trigger. It shifts your brain from doubt mode to search mode. Instead of spending energy listing reasons to quit, you start looking for paths, connections, and opportunities. That simple linguistic shift activates the mind's problem-solving mechanism, and suddenly, possibilities that were invisible start to appear. Try it right now. Think of a dream you've been putting off. Maybe writing a book, starting a business, moving to another city, or truly taking care of your health. When fear arises, confront it with this question, why not me? And write down 3 reasons why you can actually do it. You'll notice there's more evidence in your favor than against. The secret is to take small, consistent steps, because confidence is born from action. Don't wait to feel ready to start. It's by starting that you become ready. Ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things because they dared to dream bigger, acted despite uncertainty, and refused to accept imposed limits. So look at your future boldly, and remember, if someone else has already achieved it, that's proof that it's possible. The only question left is, why not you? If you've made it to the end, write this: I choose to live the life I desire. Notice how powerful that is. Over these 8 steps, you've learned that you don't need to be someone extraordinary to achieve extraordinary results. You only need to adjust the limiter of your imagination, act with excellence in what's already within your reach, persist beyond the average, redefine what failure means, share your journey, reinvent yourself when needed, and, most importantly, allow yourself to dream bigger. The life you want isn't a distant event. It's a process that begins now, in the choices you make today. And every time you put one of these steps into practice, you send a clear message to yourself. I am building step by step the life I deserve to live. Now send this video to 2 people on your WhatsApp, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I left a video here on the screen that you need to watch today. Click it, and I'll see you on the other side.